name is Professor Parma Chowdhury. I teach economics at UCL, and my specialties are international trade, including migration and labor economics. And I'm here today with one of our final year students, Masamba, to chat through what brought him here, what his experiences are, and what he would suggest to prospective students. So Masamba, let's try to start by, why don't you tell us something about yourself?
Sure. Yep, my name is Masamba Senghor. I am, as Parma mentioned, a final year student here. And I am from Gambia originally, but was raised in Manchester and come from a single parent household where I am the eldest of three. So I'm actually the first person within my household to actually get the opportunity to come to university, which of course was something that I had to grab with both hands. And not just for the sake of economic mobility, but so that I could also go to university and study something that I was genuinely interested in, which is exactly what I've done.
Perfect. So, segueing from that into why economics and why economics at UCL?
Yeah, so I've always been a very curious person, I would say. And one area of curiosity was essentially why some nations were poor and others were rich. I wanted to gain a better understanding of why these disadvantages existed in the first place and why they had persisted to this day. A lot of that was motivated by me coming from Gambia and having gone back to the country on multiple visits and being able to compare for myself at a young age the living difference between here and there, as well as just the stark inequality in Gambia itself. So you'd see a beautiful 10-house mansion, and down the road you'd see a small house made out of metal sheets. And I just wanted to gain a better understanding of that and had a whole host of questions on how the world worked. And I felt that economics was the best subject to answer those questions for me. I was lucky in that I had the opportunity to study it at college, so as an A-level. And essentially that's where I fell in love with it. I always say economics was my first love, however corny that may be. And yeah, I just got involved in everything to do with economics at my sixth form. From being the president of the Economic Society to being the course representative. So in terms of what I wanted to study, there was no question about that. As for where, I knew I wanted to be at a research-based institution because I wanted to be surrounded by other curious minds who were answering questions in a whole host of fields, including economics, and leading the discussions in the field. I knew I wanted to be studying a course that was also challenging because obviously I do like to push myself as well. And I knew I wanted to be in a big city and be exposed to many people from different backgrounds and a lot of things to do essentially. And UCL offered all of that.
Perfect. So speaking of research, you did tell me earlier that you were part of a research project. You've done research yourself. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that, especially because UCL's kind of tagline is that we do research-based education for all our students. So undergrad, whatever level you're at, we try to give students an opportunity to be involved in the research. So tell us a bit about that.
Yes, I've had a good number of opportunities to do my own research projects. A huge chunk of my final year, I spent actually doing a research project looking into the psychological biases of investors. And I've also been able to take part in other people's research projects. So one of those being measuring the attainment gap between BME students and other students from other groups. I've been involved in focus groups there. And of course, it's a topic that is very close to heart and something that I wanted to voice my opinion on and also learn about the experiences of other students who come from similar backgrounds to mine and be able to measure their experience against mine, see if they were struggling with some of the same things that I was struggling. I think it was very important that UCL does this work and shines a light on systemic injustice within our education system. And I'm glad to say that I have been a part of that and have contributed.
So can you tell us a little bit more about sort of what were the highlights of UCL? So either academics, so either within the curriculum or outside of it. I know you've told me before that you've done tons of things outside of the curriculum, right? So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. There have been a lot of highlights for myself. As you mentioned, I have tried to take advantage of a lot of different opportunities. Within the curriculum itself, I would say just being able to go out there and actually do my own research has been very exciting. Being able to do those projects across different modules and a lot of the highlights come in the form of what I've gained from the course as well. So the different skills that I've built up in quantitative and qualitative analysis, as well as being trained to be a skeptic and not take things at face value, and continue to dig deeper and ask why. Outside of the course, I've been able to do a lot. UCL is a very big university, of course, and there are a lot of opportunities available to students. So, in terms of extracurricular activities, I've been able to do things from salsa to archery. I've been able to take part in a lot of the different activities that societies do on campus. So, for example, I've been the director of the UCL Entrepreneurs Venture Capital Fund, where we've been providing capital to students who have their own startup. Since the fund's inception, we've invested around £40,000 into student startups on campus at UCL. That led me to working with Creator Fund, where myself and 10 other students from around the UK have been responsible for a fund of £250,000 investing into different startups all across the UK. The cascading effects of that led to me being in a magazine, me being on the second page of the Financial Times, myself being invited to number 10 Downing Street. So there's been a lot through the university. I've also been able to travel. I've been able to study in China. I've been able to work for a summer in Shanghai as well. There have been a lot of highlights for myself.
Fantastic. I mean, it sounds like you've made full use of your opportunities and obviously excelled at them, which we know ourselves as lecturers who've taught you as well. So finally, for prospective students, do you have any guidance, any advice? So either in terms of, this is what I did, I would definitely recommend it, or looking back now, this is what I would have done more of. Yeah,
I would say to prospective students, you are coming to a university that has very high standards in work, and the course is, of course, very challenging. So I would say to students, when you do get here, the pace is very fast. Although you do get accustomed to it, don't be afraid to ask for help, because that's what everyone is there for. Don't be afraid to knock on the door of your lecturer during their office hours. Don't be afraid to send them an email, to send your tutor an email. I think one thing, if I could go back, if I could do more of, would be to actually talk to you guys and gain more of your knowledge, because you'd be sat across the table from somebody who is an expert in the field. So that can only benefit you. I have gone to visit other friends who study economics around the country, and often I will see my lecturers' textbooks on their desks. And the fact that I have access to these people is amazing. And you will have that very same access. So make full use of it. Say, in terms of university life in general, there are, again, a lot of opportunities available at UCL. And when you do arrive and you see the true scale of it, it can be quite a shock. There can be quite an overload of information. But what I would encourage is doing your best to find what you're passionate about, or doing your best to find opportunities that interest you, and just applying, not letting any doubts or fear get in the way, and just saying yes to different opportunities, because it can lead you to amazing places. But if I could go back to 2017 when I was a fresher, a lot of the places that I've ended up over these past 3 years, I never would have imagined that I would, back in 2017 when I first stepped onto campus. So yes, don't be afraid to ask for help, and definitely say yes to different opportunities.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Masamba, for sharing your experience with you. And I hope many, many other people have these experiences as well. Thanks. Bye from me, Parma.